Welcome to Community Updates right here on WJZZ Cool TV. I'm your host, Michelle White, and we thank you for tuning in this evening. We've got Miss Beverly Dawn Watley, who is our guest this evening, and she is a noted actress who's performed in many soap operas, as well as she's a freelance writer for some of our noted periodicals and Black Magazine and was it a Heart and Soul magazine, and she's going to be sharing with us. She actually can speak to us on a few different things, but we're going to talk a little bit about mental health this evening because of in light of Twitch passing or killed himself, who was Ellen DeGeneres's DJ. And actually, that's how I didn't really know who he was until I saw that he was Ellen. I saw that part and I said, "Oh, I remember him." But he was Ellen, very upbeat, vibrant man. But you never know what's going on in someone's mind and what they're going through. You never know. As a matter of fact, I just posted something today stating that you're not supposed to look like what you're going through. But that's a whole nother thing. To keep whatever we're going through, it is up to us to keep our mental state of mind intact. And I can remember when I was going through some tumultuous things in life, and someone said to me, I said, I felt like I'm about to lose my mind. And they say, don't lose your mind, because you're going to need that to hang on to God. And that was some true words that I really needed. Yeah, very good advice. So again, we thank you for tuning in right here on WJZZ Cool TV, where you can catch us live streaming every Wednesday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. So, and if you want to call in this evening, please feel free to give us a call at area code 313-355-6018. Again, that's 313-355-6018. And because we are community updates, I always like to share different things within the community before we get started. So one of the things is there's a water shutoff moratorium that will end on December the 31st for those people who live within the Detroit area. And but they have programs for residents that are enrolled in their assistance program. So if there's a water shutoff concern in your life right now, please go to the city of Detroit and find out how you can prevent that from happening if that is a situation that you're dealing with right now. The moratorium on the water shutoff will end December the 31st, but it will continue for residents that are enrolled in the assistance programs. So please go and make sure that you are enrolled and registered in the assistance program with the City of Detroit Water Department. Also, I have been sharing with you about the Michigan Residential Builders construction classes. With all the construction everywhere you turn, even just driving down the street today, there's construction going on. And that's not just within our city. There's construction going on in all of your urban cities, in particular throughout the United States. That means that there are jobs available. But in the days of old, when people could just get the contract because they knew somebody or they had the skill set but weren't licensed, those days are over. You've got to go and get your license. So whatever city you're in, because we have people tuning in from all over the country, and we go and get your builder's license so that you can contract with the major contracting developers. And I shared a couple of programs ago that I remember when in our city, in the city of Detroit, when the contract to get your builder's license, it was $275. Now it's $650. But they're doing a payment situation where you can pay a portion down. But the thing is, go get your license so that you can properly contract with these companies. No longer is a day when you can just think individually. You've got to think globally. And so with that in mind, get your license. The Michigan Residential Builders class is just one for our state. Find out what the one is in your state and get signed up for that. And we've been often talk about water and how the water filtration systems are bad all over the country, not just in one particular area. They're bad all over the country because we have, as a people, not we've been polluting polluting our water, polluting the air, oil spills. There was just another oil spill somewhere just this week.
Yeah.
There was an oil spill. I forget where it was, but there was a huge oil spill. And so you can get with Ready Fresh. Ready Fresh is a water filtration system, and you can dial 248-798-0232. Again, that's 248-798-0232, and get your Ready Fresh water filtration system. It sits in your home similar to how the Apsopures do, and I didn't think I had room for one, but I tell you, it fit perfectly right. I found a little spot, and the water is not on top, it's under the bottom. So it's cute, it's sleek, it's thinner than the other machines that they used to use, and it's wonderful. So give Ready Fresh a call at 248-798-0232, and that is a round the world filtration system. They will ship it right to your door wherever you live around the world. 248-798-0232. Ships right to your door. Call Ready Fresh today. And then I think I've been telling you it's time to register for classes. I've actually this week been getting many seniors, as you all have been hearing me share, that our community colleges, probably throughout the United States, but definitely here within Michigan, if you're 60 and above, the classes are free for 60 and above. Not free for everyone, but there are many different programs that our presidents have, the past couple of presidents have helped to have many different programs, and for people to go back to return to work and return to school as they return to work to get better credentialing and better education. So one of them is the Rocket to Work program that Wayne County Community College District has, and they give you skilled trades, tuition, free skilled trades programs in civil testing and technology, construction, CDL trucking, and that's just one of the programs. So go and find out about it. You can call Wayne County Community College District at 313-496-2634. Again, 313-496-2634, or go to their website at www.wcccd.edu. And that's the Rocket to Work program, where they will teach you. There's tuition-free skilled trades programs in civil testing and technology, construction, and CDL trucking. And then there is also, just so you know, many colleges have this, professional closets. And soon we're going to have Jackets to Jobs on here. I was at the Tina Turner play with one of the owners of that particular organization. But professional closets are good. I can remember when I've been a part of different hiring things where they would do groups of people to come out and hire you, and people would come in their Easter suits. Black, brown, blue, beige. Not purple, green, lime green, yellow. But people need to be told that.
Yeah.
Because you think that people know that and they don't. It would just amaze me. And literally, they would come in their Easter suit. And I know that might be your only suit. So if you don't have black, brown, blue, or beige, you don't have to wear a suit. Just wear a pair of pants, shirt, and a tie. And you think that, do you need to wear a tie if it's a construction job? It couldn't hurt. Yes, do you need to have your Carhartt or your other construction gear ready? Yes. But so Wayne County Community College District has a professional closet where they will give you free clothing. And I am a Lions Club member, and we're even donating some clothing to the professional closet and some food products to the professional closet. So check out what services you have at the college or institution that you're a part of, and take advantage of those things. There's many services and things out here available for people. Another thing is I've just been amazed at how many people don't know about gleaners or forgotten harvest. If you are looking for food, if you need food, and food prices have raised so much within our grocery stores, it's just ridiculous. But Forgotten Harvest and Gleaners, or if you go to their Facebook page or their websites every single day, Monday through Saturday, every day except Sunday, they are passing out food. And they in many locations all throughout the area. Find out even what it is for your area. These are government subsidized programs. That means every state has a government subsidized entity, nonprofit agencies that they give food to, and you can go and get that food. For Michigan, it's Gleaners and Forgotten Harvest, as many as the many other programs that are out here and available for people to get free food from. Can we say free?
Free is good.
Free is good.
Free is very good.
Very good. So there are many programs out there. There's no reason for anyone in the United States of America to be starving, to be hungry. We throw away food, which is such a waste. But there are plenty of things available to you, and that's why we've got community updates right here, so that we can share a lot of these things so people can know where services and programs and things are available for them. And we want you, when you go to YouTube, when you go to Facebook, please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share, because that helps us know who you're there, helps us know you're listening. If you feel so inclined, please feel free to give us a call this evening. And you can give us a call right here at 355-6018. That's area code 313-355-6018. And if you'd like to support community updates, please feel free to Cash App $ Michelle R. White. That's MICHELLE, the letter R, and then White, like the color, WHITE. And your support is needed. We welcome your support to keep the programming running, to keep the information. And if you have people that you would like to have as guests on, or information that you think would be good to share with others around the communities, all of our communities, then please do so. So again, we welcome Miss Dawn. You said you like to be called Dawn. You're known as Dawn more than Beverly.
Well, there are unfortunately about 35 Beverly Watleys in this country, and some of them are not nice people. I'm the only one who has Dawn as a middle name, so I use my whole name. I'm registered with the actors unions. I write under that name. I work under that name to be sure that I am the one that people are addressing, and when they Google, they get me.
Okay. Well, that is wonderful. So you have done one of the articles that you recently did on mental well-being, mental health and well-being, was Shades of Blue. Tell us about that.
I was inspired to write this article because I know that in our community we have this stigma about mental health. I mean, somebody can come and tell you about their cancer or their corns, and you'll just lean in.
You said their cancer or their what?
Or their corns.
Oh, their corns.
But when they start talking about they heard voices or they've got certain feelings, and it's like, well, I guess I better be going, and I got to go wash the cat or something. And people get really a little unnerved about being the person who hears or even the person who shares if something is not quite right. And I thought I needed to write something where, the old folks used to say, now I'm one of the old folks because my hair's turned silver, something about a checkup from the neck up. It used to be a joke, but it's not a joke.
Yes.
Because anytime we've looked at the news and we see that mental health and law enforcement have come together, something could have and should have happened before that encounter.
Yes.
But somebody looked the other way, somebody didn't go for help, somebody didn't think they were worth it. And then, you have to have the black and white roll up, and sometimes the results aren't positive. So I wanted people to be aware of not only your friends, but sometimes you need to look in the mirror to be sure that the person who looks back at you is really really doing okay. And one of the biggest lies ever told is when someone asks, "How are you?" and you say, "Fine."
Mm-hmm.
There was something that came through my thread on Facebook yesterday of a celebrity on a talk show that is no longer, who came back to visit, and the host said, "So how are you?" Apparently there have been some marital things, and she said, "I'm fine," and then broke into the ugly cry. And I went, there it is. We are not fine, and we need to stop lying that we're fine. If you see someone who's having a problem with drug and alcohol, to self-medicate, not eating, not sleeping, or eating too much and sleeping too much, spending a lot of time isolated, never wanting to be around, and suicidal ideation, whether they say it or they start giving things away and they start doing things that let you know they're separating. There is a new number called 988, not 911, 988. If you find yourself slipping, and if you see your neighbor running down the street looking like he's not having the best day, call 911 and let the authorities know. You may not know exactly what's going on, but you know that doesn't look right and he needs help. But when it's yourself, 988 has a plethora of resources. It's only been in action since, I believe, July, when they changed to that, the quick number. You don't have to remember 7 digits, just 988. You're in trouble, they're waiting to help you.
Well, one of the things I think that we run into is people don't want to hear. And we're living in such a fast-paced society. Everybody's busy multitasking. They don't want to hear it. And people know that people feel that you don't care anyway. Or what is the other thing that people say? I don't want to tell you my problems because you don't want to hear them anyway. Or there's another phrase that people will say, who's listening,
Yeah.
But I guess we're seeing now that we do need to listen to people more. Now, I'm a proponent of still speaking positively. Yes, you need to find someone that you can talk to, especially when you're going through things. But you can't talk to everybody. Number one, they aren't listening. Number two, they don't care. Number three, they might give you wrong advice. But you do need to find someone to talk to and not hold it all in.
Yeah, it's very important.
That's very important. And unfortunately, we aren't doing enough talking and not enough listening and not enough caring about one another. So why Shades of Blue? How did you come up with the title Shades of Blue?
Part of the article deals with the origin of the blues.
Okay.
Because that has always been a musical way of, whether you're sitting in the dark room with your 80 proof and you're listening to Etta James, but we have always had the blues as a way of either mirroring how we felt or using it to kind of wallow in for a while. And it's like, okay, enough of that. I've listened to that album, so I'm going to feel better now and go about my life. But it's interesting that the blues came about when the work song and the spiritual, if you could imagine them having a baby, because
they came together.
They came together because in our history we had to be strong enough to get through the work and make it to Sunday to sing the spiritual. So we had that new music that came in between, and going to the juke joint was our medicine. The word juke, Juke, is from Gullah, which is from that South Sea Islands, where a lot of our people were dropped off and enslaved, and it means rowdy. So some of the songs are about loss, some of the songs are about not being lost and just being a little on the raunchy side, but whatever it was that was going to bring us up and bring us out and allow us to be there when the sun came up the next day and do that work, make it to that church, and and help ourselves through music.
And I can remember when people like Rosetta Thorpe came in playing the blues into the church, and she received a lot of backlash for that, along as many other artists during that time. But they did collide, and or not collide, they came together.
Yes.
And I can remember even up to date when people like Kirk Franklin
And Donnie McClurkin too.
and Donnie McClurkin
Yeah.
brought in Kirk Franklin had come out with the song Stomp and
Mm-hmm.
some other things. And, he told the people, he said, look, I'm not playing this for the church ridiculed the man. And he said, I didn't make these songs for the church. These are for people that are unchurched, so they will play them on the regular radio programs because that's who I'm trying to reach. You already know Jesus. I'm trying to get to the people that don't know him. And I can remember a time when I was sitting in the car with a young lady. I was picking her up, and she was a prostitute. And I could feel the Holy Spirit telling me, I need you to be quiet because I need to use you right now for her. I tell you, I was still learning what that meant, listening to the voice of the Lord. I didn't, kind of know. I was still learning.
Mm-hmm.
But I listened, because when you hear the voice of the Lord, it can be such a manner that you know to heed it. So I listened, and as soon as the woman got in the car, the song was on, one of Kirk Franklin's songs. She started crying. And she started pouring out and said, I don't like being this way. This is not how I wanted my life to be. And I didn't start out wanting to be,
Mm-hmm.
do the things she was doing. She said, but I came to the church. We weren't talking about church. Had nothing to do with church. I was
Mm-hmm.
picking her up for another reason. And she said, I came to the church, but the church didn't treat me right. The church, I guess I didn't have the right type of clothing on and look the right way. And the church treated me mean. She said, so I told God, if you want me, God, somebody that knows you is going to have to come to me. And praise God that within 7 to 10 days, God used me, and I was tore from the floor up. But he used little old me to help this young lady get a new house, new place to stay, and new home, new place to stay, job, and clothing within 7 to 10 days.
That
I
is
was
amazing.
amazed.
That's what miracles
I was
are.
like, wow,
No,
God,
it's not a maze,
okay.
it's a miracle.
It's a
It's a
miracle.
miracle.
That was a miracle.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what the lady's name is right now. I don't remember her face. But I knew I was being used. And sometimes we forget that. If God can use a donkey, he can use anybody. Again, I was tore from the floor up. I was a mess. But I heard and I knew to listen. And she started pouring out. And she said, and so that's something for people that go to church and for those who connect with church to know that when you never know who's walking in your church. Be kind to people. We should always be kind to people. We never know what mental challenges people are going through. This lady said, I came to the church, but they didn't treat me right. I didn't have the right clothes on. She said, I guess I didn't have the right clothes on. And sometimes and I'm a churchgoer, but sometimes we just have totally lost the whole meaning of what it's supposed to really be. And we need to be kind to people. Stop talking and sitting in your unit with just the people that you know, but really be kind and open up to other people. Open up, speak to someone else other than your small group of people. Me personally, I go around, if I'm going to church, I make sure I go and shake hands and greet people that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I already know you. Let me go say hello to somebody else that I don't know.
And I have found people do that with me because as we're coming out of the pandemic, and we are still in it,
Yeah.
no mistake.
Yes.
It's now being called a tridemic.
Mm-hmm.
As I go and sample churches because I was determined that I was going to start being out again and being social.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go to a church where I don't know anyone, and there's always someone who comes and introduces themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good, because that doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's good. Somebody comes in and introduces themselves.
Mm-hmm. The reason I was kind of chuckling when you mentioned Kirk Franklin and Donnie McClurkin, I was listening to one of Kirk Franklin's recordings on the way here, and number one track is kind of a mock-up of a courtroom, and he's bringing secular into the church, and he's doing this and doing that. And track number 2 is You Say You Want a Revolution with the whoop whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
And I thought, what? She mentioned that, and I was just listening to that in the car. It's kind of like eerie,
Mm-hmm.
Twilight Zone here.
And he got ridiculed for all those songs, but those were songs needed
Hmm.
because the people needed people that have mental challenge. Just this week alone, we've been able, I'm again a Lions Club member, and our motto is we serve. So we've been serving the community, giving out. We do a myriad of things with cancer patients, with blind people that are the blind and hearing impaired.
Hmm.
Um, children's cancer, diabetes, and many different things. But another thing that we do is furniture donations, giving people furniture. So just this week alone, we've been able to bless um, 6 or 7 families with furniture,
Oh, that's
whole households of
wonderful.
furniture. We were last weekend gave a woman that had been burned out of her home, and she didn't have anything. She was from Chicago, moved here, thought her daughter was going to help her. Daughter did not help her.
Oh.
Think of the mental stress.
Hmm.
Had nothing. The gentlemen that were moving her were complaining, "Oh, I'm tired of moving. This is heavy, blah, 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 blah." But I wasn't there for this move, but the lady who told me about it, she said when they went up to her apartment, because another agency helped her get an apartment, and she said when they walked in and saw that there was absolutely nothing, there was a television and a blow up mattress, they came out with their heads hung down because of all the murmuring and complaining they
Hmm.
had been doing prior to going in there. We take it for granted sometimes, and we forget that everyone does not have everything. And we're blessed to be a blessing. And even when you don't have, I can remember the days of old, mama and daddy didn't always have something, but they still knew how to give someone else a morsel of bread. They
Hmm.
still would give something to someone else. We want you to call in at 313-355-6018. Share your story. And if you're having some mental challenge, or just, no, we don't want to say mental challenge. If you're having some challenges, you feel free to call in and talk about them. Feel free to know we are here to help. So now this particular woman has a house full of, her apartment is filled to the hill.
Oh,
She
that's
has
beautiful.
everything, and so just it's been a blessing just to see and give furniture to people that some have a little, some have nothing. But we live in a country where we have an abundance, and that doesn't just help the physical need. That helps the mental need, as we're talking about mental wellness. Well,
Hmm.
if I can now have a bed to sleep in, a table to put my sit down at, and a couch to sit on, or dishes and plates to use, that helps my mental wellness as well.
And there are a couple of things that we take for granted, and I was jokingly mentioning to a friend recently the sound of the furnace kicking on when it's
Mm.
cold, the toilet flushing,
Mm-hmm.
and water going down the drain. There's something about that glug, glug, glug that says all is right.
Mm.
Because if any of those things is not working,
Mm-hmm.
that can really impact your well being.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to if you don't know how to fix those things, you're going to have to find a way to get someone else to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be cheap. You were mentioning earlier about people being licensed to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Everything does not require a college degree.
No.
Everything does not require even walking into a college. There are great places to
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know about plumbing and
Mm-hmm.
heating and all of those types of things that
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs,
Mm-hmm.
you have a room full of PhDs and the heat goes out and
Mm-hmm.
it's cold, they don't even know where the boiler room is. You need somebody who needs to come in who says, well, I went downstairs and you've got the ABC 1, 2, 3 and I got parts in the truck. You'll be warm in no time.
Yes.
And then you pay that $400, $500, $600
Mhm.
gladly
Mhm.
to that professional because that man or that woman is a doctor of the boiler room.
Mm-hmm. I used to I still work with different shelters around the area, and I would see people that had skill set in plumbing and cooling and drywall and masonry skills. And I said, why don't you guys come together and start a business?
Yeah.
Start a business. So there are people that have all types of skill sets, but put it to work for you. Let your skills work for you. And if and maybe you might not charge the 400 or 500, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember one time when I had to call the plumber, and my sink, the drain where you put the garbage disposal drain, was not working properly. The plumber was in my home maybe 15 minutes because he knew. I didn't know. He knew all you had to do was go down there and push a button. But I didn't know that. And I had to pay
Oh,
him $75
for pushing a
for
button.
pushing a button. But that was a lesson learned. I didn't know that. I didn't know the button was down there. I had no clue.
Wow.
But he knew. And it cost me $75 for him to come out
And
and fix
ladies
it.
who are watching and listening, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't happen to have an adult son or a man
Mm-hmm.
in your household, that person could come in and spend an hour
Mm-hmm.
pushing that button, and
Yes.
you pay $75 for the service call
Mm-hmm.
and another 100 because he pushed it.
Exactly. So, but thank God for YouTube. A lot of things we can look up on
Yeah,
YouTube nowadays. That's wonderful. One of the people, some people have shy away from social media or the computer altogether, but there are bad things with it. But there are many good things as well.
there are.
And there are a lot of help. Whether you're learning how to cook something or fix something,
Hmm.
I had to go on YouTube just this week to show me how to apply something that I needed to apply, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to get it open. But YouTube showed me in 2 minutes how to get it open.
And to have someone talk you through it instead of going through a very thick owner's manual, or
Mm-hmm.
you buy some things now and there's one big sheet of paper that gives you pictures but doesn't tell you what to do if that doesn't work.
Exactly. So tell us more about your paper and your writings on mental health and the shades of blue.
Well, I went back to also look at, because I wrote this about the African American community,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had to go way, way back to the idea that we are still dealing with institutionalized racism and discrimination. And you can get up in the morning. Nobody knows when I'm walking to my car and I'm driving down the street. They don't know how well read, how well traveled, how many languages I speak. They just see brown.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to be concerned, will I survive a routine traffic stop?
Mm-hmm.
How am I being perceived? I mean, there have been times when I've gone to do a professional development because I'm an educator and I work with a group. And it occurred to me that if people were already in the building and they see me get out of the car, the first thing they notice is height, because I'm about 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And then they notice color, and however they feel about color, now they're reacting to that. Then they notice I'm a woman, and then they react to that. And now I have silver hair, and then they react to that. And any bias or discrimination they have is what kicks in. People layer the things that they have been taught, the experiences they had, the assumption they've drawn. What's funny for them is when the presenter shows up, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, well, how could that be?
Mm-hmm.
So life is a teachable moment. That's a big burden to carry. When you have to go through life representing 13% of the population, it's stressful. And if you don't think about it, you just do it. You just do it. You know you're going to have to do it. And then you have a health issue. Then you have an economic issue. And then along comes COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose people. And one of the things that our community does well is we come together when there's illness and when there's death.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't go to the hospital to visit. Too virulent. Not allowed. When this person passed away, couldn't go to the house and have a wake. Couldn't do that. Couldn't have a funeral. Couldn't do this. Couldn't do that.
Funerals have become our family reunions.
They are.
That's not good.
But COVID said, don't get together, stay 12 feet apart, better still,
Mhm.
stay away.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you put all of that grief and all of that angst
Mm-hmm.
that you have not been allowed to express the way we're accustomed to? Our rituals were taken away during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So on top of dealing with the discrimination that you have to deal with on a regular basis, COVID came along and said, we're just going to make it even more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out in my research is that the black male is the most underdiagnosed and untreated of anyone, because there's this sense of, you're strong, you can handle this, suck it up, it's okay. And the new statistics on how the economy and gun violence and just things going on in society are impacting our youth.
Mm-hmm.
not only are they dealing with more anxiety and more depression, our kids, black kids, are committing suicide. There was a time if you
At
heard about
alarming
suicide,
rates.
at an alarming rate.
Yes.
There was a time if you heard about a teen suicide, you knew it was somebody's unfortunate white child that's taken his own life.
But not anymore.
But not anymore.
Yeah. And even whether it's the LGBT community or whatever, no one should be put in the position or to feel like they need to kill themselves.
That's very true.
It's just bad. But even when you were talking about how you have to, the different layers of when people see you and the different things you have to be concerned with, just today, I'm also an educator as well. And I was helping in our student services area at the school, the college that I work at. And there was a Arab speaking woman. Now the woman was Arab speaking. She did not know English very well, but did know English pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the black people, staff members, were loud, rude, and low patience with her. I was helping in the area, and what I found is a soft answer turns away harshness. So I was already helping one woman who happened to be an Arabic-speaking woman herself. Make a long story short, they were just being really rude to this woman. And that didn't help her to like brown people any further. Trust me, the way they were talking to her, being very impatient with her from the onset. It wasn't as if she had done something and then they, to irritate them.
Mm-hmm.
They were irritated
by her presence?
I guess. I don't know.
Wow.
Or just from their day or whatever was going on within them.
Mm-hmm.
But she had asked them a question. She pointed it out, and she said, "You all are being very rude to me, and I'm just trying to ask a question." Well, the young lady that I was with could hear this, and so she got up, and I had stepped away to my office for a moment. She got up and went over and helped the young lady to better understand, because she could tell that there was a communication gap. And but what I noticed, it was, I try to be calm and quiet, and that, thank God, was today with this woman, and I try to be that way all the time. Just make that a part of your personality. And so it's something you have to always work at, and for it to become natural. So the person I was helping, she went over to be the liaison to speak to the woman and help the communication gap. But when the lady was leaving, the one who had been unjustly spoken to, rudely spoken to, she didn't even want, I was saying, "Have a good day, ma'am, and much success to you." She really didn't even want to look at me because of my skin. And it was clear. She was done with brown people that day. And that's unfortunate. So sometimes we as brown people or other people, we think that it's always the other person's fault. It's not always the other person. We have to check ourselves, because clearly those two particular brown people were very rude to this woman from Jump Street. And those types of things will stereotype us across the board. And many different cultures have stereotypes, not just our culture. Yes, we want people, when you come to America, to learn how to speak American. But when we go to their country, I'm sure they want the same thing. I'm teaching you learn, several languages.
Mm-hmm.
But in many cultures, Africans and other cultures, they learn 2 or 3 languages at the onset of life.
And the district where I work, we have students that we call EL students who are learning English, and it might be language number 5. And once they get the basics, they attach it to the language skills they have for all the other languages, and they excel over the students who are 7 generations here.
Exactly. And so it's important for us to teach our children more than one language. And then we have to speak to them and learn it ourselves. It is not just the children. A lot of the challenge I think we have with children committing suicide, think about how many parents, they're mentally stressed and they're yelling at their children and cussing them out and calling them all everything but the name they gave them. And that's not good. That promotes the mental stress from it goes from the parent or the caregiver to the child.
It's that cycle.
That cycle.
Hurt people
Hurt people.
other people.
Mm-hmm. So true. I was even talking with a prisoner that's currently incarcerated this morning, and we were talking about the systemic racism. And there's a show that was on about how people that grew up in the projects, they set you up knowing that you're already poor, and the project doors slam so hard to already get your mind in gear for the prison that you're probably going to end up in. And they already have the bars on the project windows to get you set up that you're going to be behind bars at some point. Might not be when you're grown, might be when you're a teenager. And so he could attest to that. This prisoner I was speaking to this morning could attest to that. He said, there's a show I liked about that. I said, yes. He said, I remember those prison doors when I lived in the project, and when I got here, I could hear them slamming. Yeah, those prison doors slam very hard. Now, thank God when I go to the prisons, and I have to thank God because I have had situations where I could have been in prison, but praise be unto God who causes me to triumph. I did not stay in jail and go to prison. And there's a difference between the prison doors and the jail doors. But I go and I volunteer in the prisons now, and those doors slam very hard. But all of those things are mental. They're set up, the mental systemic racism and the mental challenges that people have. Many of those things start because we set up our society that way for prisoners to go to prison. Let me get you mentally set up for when you're going to go to prison, because it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to end up in prison. You're already living in the projects. So let me get you accustomed to the door slamming and the bars on the windows and so forth. But it's not good.
What has always amazed me is that I looked at, in places I've traveled, like some of the places called projects, whether they're New York City or Cabrini Green in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the high-rise that might be on the Upper East Side.
Mm-hmm.
What makes those buildings different?
Mm-hmm. The
There
bars.
are people,
Mm-hmm.
and there's an elevator,
Mm-hmm.
and there might be 12 stories or more.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about what went into the construction of this building
Mm-hmm.
and the attitude and the way people are treated
Mm-hmm.
that is not happening with people over here.
Mm-hmm.
And they all started out as babies at the end of an umbilical cord.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all of the things that are done to and done with us by the time we start doing things
Mm-hmm.
that have an impact on us. Are you going to be a successful person in an Upper East Side high-rise, or are you going to be an unsuccessful person where the doors are getting you ready for the big gray house?
Mm-hmm. So how do you think that we can help some of the mental challenges and things that people are experiencing? We're going to have ITEJ, I believe Pastor Keon Payton was on a couple of months ago, has a wonderful organization that deals with mental health and mental wellness
Mm-hmm.
and helping people, and we're going to have him on again soon. I actually wanted to have him on with you, but I couldn't get him here this evening. But tell us, how do you think we can help combat some of the challenges that people are experiencing? And feel free, again, you're watching us right here on WJZZ Cool TV. This is Community Updates. I'm your host, Michelle White, and we have as our guest this evening Beverly Dawn Watley.
Yes.
And I do want you to tell us some about your acting career as well.
Okay, I'll do that.
But tell me about what do you think? Feel free to call in. Again, I forgot to give the numbers, 313-355-6018. Again, that's 313-355-6018.
Well, when I was doing my research, and I always research what I write, I don't just sit at home and just pontificate on things.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I looked at NIM and NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Illness.
Mm-hmm.
I sent the Michigan chapter the article,
Mm-hmm.
and they sent me an email today saying, "We love your article. Thank you for writing it. Can we attach it to our website?"
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you. And one of the things that, of course, I mentioned before, looking for the symptoms, sleeping too much, eating too much, having suicidal ideology, but also finding things that are going to bring you joy,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's going to church, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's doing something like yoga or meditation,
Mm-hmm.
if it's being a part of a book club or something that's going to make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has something that is going to kind of lift their spirits.
Mhm.
If you like cooking, if you like certain kinds of movies, if
Mhm.
they're people that bring you happiness to be around them, sometimes we have to reach out and just kind of get out of ourselves. Being able to just, having the access to being able to take a nice hot shower and then saying, I'm going to call a friend, I'm
Mhm.
going to talk to somebody, and even writing out cards to people.
Mhm.
I just did my Christmas cards this morning and dropped them in the mail.
Mhm.
And I know that there are people who are going to get one card this year,
Mhm.
and it's going to be for me.
And
I-
cards used to be something that you would get a lot.
Yeah.
I'm guilty. I'll send you text, but the cards were nice. Yeah.
Well, this is what makes me keep my cards. I
Mhm.
also do a Christmas letter,
Mhm.
and that's one of the things that got me started being a writer.
Okay.
Is that people were saying, I can't wait for your next letter, and I thought, there's probably money in this. I better start writing
Right.
professionally. So I love doing the letter. But
Mhm.
there was an older woman who was one of my mother's coworkers. She worked in an asylum, the big one that
Mhm.
closed.
Okay.
And
My
she
mother
told-
used to work there.
Really?
She would come home crying every day.
There were a
We
lot
like,
of things
Mom,
to cry
please
about.
quit this job.
I would read patients' charts and I would want to cry.
Mm.
But she told me one day, I helped raise some of my nieces and nephews, and
Mhm.
now I'm in a condition where I get letters and cards from you. They don't want to be bothered with me. I'm a little older. I'm not as
Mhm.
attractive I used to be. I can't do and I can't spin the way I did. She
Mhm.
said, when I get those times that I really feel down, I take out your cards and letters
Mhm.
and I read them again.
Yes.
So if I am the only Christmas card
Yeah.
that someone gets with their bills,
And that's
with their
wonderful.
and they want to read it over and over again. And they have that one Christmas card that they sit on their kitchen table that
Mhm.
says, somebody knows I'm still here.
Yes.
Somebody cares that I'm alive. That could be the difference between them seeing 2023 and not.
That's true. So true. That is
So when the
absolutely
Spirit
wonderful. I might
touches
start
you-
doing that now.
Well, when the Spirit touches you and says, send a text,
Yes.
make a call,
Yes.
drop a card,
Mhm. Now that I do.
little gifts. I'm
Mhm.
walking around and I say, Michelle would love
And you
that.
brought me a gift today. That was so kind. That was so kind. Thank
the-
you so
The Spirit
much.
touched me, and
Thank
I hope,
you so
I hope
much.
you
That
enjoy
might
it.
be my only gift.
Oh,
I don't, I'm older now. I don't get gifts all the time,
Yeah.
but I so appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate being invited. So,
Yes,
but sometimes that little gesture.
yes.
If the gift I gave her, we won't go into what it is. But if it sits there one day, she says, I'm going to take this and go share it with this person.
Yes.
And it becomes like, I don't even have to stop at a store. I've got this.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes people get things and they re-gift.
Mhm.
And that lets them do something for someone else.
Mhm.
I really don't need another mug or another scented candle. Thank you very much. But I know people who love candles.
Yes.
And I said, oh, this lavender candle, I know the person I can give it to who's in a different circle of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I will make it a part of maybe a gift basket.
Yes.
So it doesn't go to waste.
Oh, that's kind.
So little gestures.
Those kindnesses, yes, that's so important.
It's very important.
So even just a smile.
Yeah.
When we smile, some people go around frowning.
And you can smile under your mask because you
Mhm.
smize, like that model says.
Exactly.
Your cheekbones and your eyes can just show that you're smiling.
Mhm.
I smile at someone at the store, and I'm going in and they're coming out. And then they smile at someone else, and then
Mhm.
someone smiles at the
It becomes
person.
infectious.
It becomes as infectious as COVID.
Yes.
And then somebody who's feeling good
Yeah.
happens to pop up when I need somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's because of that smile,
Mhm.
that causal chain of
Mhm.
kindness. And nobody had to spend a dime.
Someone said that to me once because I'm a smiler. And they said, I need your smile today.
Yeah.
it brings me joy. I was like, wow,
Wow.
I didn't know. And then someone had, when I didn't smile, they said, "You're not smiling. What's the matter?" So, I mean, those are little things that you don't think anybody's necessarily paying attention to, but they are. And you never know what we can do to help someone and help their mental state of mind for that day. So I was very saddened to hear that yet another person, Twitch, has killed himself, and he seemed like such a, I mean, but I can think of many actors and actresses that have done, and people and stories that we hear about of people killing themselves. And there have been times in my life where I wanted to leave the planet, but really, it's not that we want to really leave the planet. We just don't like what's going on. We don't
And
like what's happening at the time.
and the way that is put into a really nice visual is it's a person seeking a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you just stayed around another day, another week, something would have turned things around. And sometimes just giving yourself a smile. That's one of those, either is it Kirk Franklin or is it Donnie McClurkin who has that song, Smile?
Smile, that's Kirk Franklin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to smile and look in the mirror and smile and say, what do I have to smile about? Well, my toilet flushed, my water went down the drain, and I think I just heard the heat pop on, which means I'm indoors.
Yes.
I'm not under a bridge somewhere.
Yes.
I had a shower. I'm not in the same clothes that I've been in for weeks and weeks and weeks.
And we need to focus. We've got a caller. Yes, caller. Yes, caller. Thank you for calling in. How may we please share with us?
Yes, please do.
Can you hear us? Can you hear me? I can't hear you, caller. I can say something again.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you very faintly.
Can you hear me?
I can
Oh,
hear you
yes,
better
now.
now. Yes, sir.
Oh, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead and
Great.
talk.
Really, really enjoying.
Huh? Go ahead and talk, caller.
Great. Really enjoying the conversation. Such great information.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You want to tell us your first name or no, or it's up to you? Can you hear us? Are you there? You free to call back in. And I'm glad that the conversation is being enjoyed, and thank you for calling. But before we've got to go, I realize, oh my goodness, it's 6:54 already.
Oh,
So you have been on many different soap operas.
yes.
Tell me some of the soap operas.
Okay, so those of you who are fans of shows, like if you watched Capital back in the day, Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, I have played ladies of the evening, I've played lawyers, I've played lots of nurses. I played so many nurses that after a while I just went ahead and bought the nurses' shoes because they didn't have my size. But even playing the ladies of the evening, I will call them ladies of the evening and not any
Yes.
of those other words.
Yes.
I may have had some of the dumbest lines ever written in a script, but I said, like that woman who was in your car,
Mm-hmm.
this character didn't start out this way. She was a
Yes.
baby, she was a toddler, she was a child,
Yes.
and somewhere she got turned on and turned out.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time she has to say this stupid line, I'm going to give her all the dignity and the grace, and when I say it, tears may roll as my line is delivered and that elevator door closes, as I have had some really stupid lines.
Well, I recognized you looking at your pictures. I said, oh, I've seen her. And you're just as beautiful today. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. But the beauty is within and is shining
Thank
out.
you.
So it is, you are shining like a bright, shining light. And thank you so much for being our guest here today on Community Updates. We're going to have you back because we've run out of time today, but I would love to have you come back and talk more. And I just love your spirit, and thank you so much for sharing the things that you have shared with us today right here on Community Updates, WJZZ Cool TV. You can catch the replays. All the replays come on YouTube, on Facebook. I even put them on my Facebook page of Michelle Turner White. But you can see them all on YouTube at any time. Every replay. WJZZ Cool TV Community Updates is the name of our program. Again, I'm your host, Michelle White, and we thank you for tuning in. Have a great evening.